Insane. That's a true story. It's just like a Muddy Waters song, basically. It was a night in July, a long, long time ago. Why'd I eat the acid? I don't know. I wasn't thinking and I wasn't scared. Why'd I eat the acid? I wasn't prepared. The last time I did acid, I went insane. I was hanging out with some friends, just getting loaded, when all of a sudden my mind exploded. I realized I was gay and I got paranoid. I was sitting on the floor listening to Pink Floyd. The last time I did acid, I went insane. And I was drawing crazy pictures, and before I was done, the picture started pulsing like an alien lung. And I said, oh my god, this has just begun. And it was 12 more hours before I was done, and we were up on the rooftop. And I'll tell you the truth, I was convinced I'd already fallen off of the roof, and these weird metal things all around that space, they were teleporting me from place to place. The last time I did acid, I went insane. So we ran back downstairs where it was better to be, but I was trapped in spiral staircase infinity. And when we got to the door, I couldn't go inside, because it was the gates of heaven and I had died. The last time I did acid, I went insane. And this kid named Grim, he punched a cat in the head. He could read my thoughts, that's what he said, and he described what it was like. But I didn't believe it, like lifting a rug and seeing stars beneath it. And the first rule of tripping was, don't be with people you don't trust. The second rule of LSD, the rooftop is not a good place to be. The third rule is to be prepared. The fourth rule is to not get scared. The fifth rule is to stay serene. Turn off your mind and float downstream. The sixth rule is to have a good friend at hand. The seventh rule, I hope you understand, is not to look too deep into your soul, or you might find a hideous, hopeless hole of hatred, hunger, infinite, idiot, mindless, meaningless, nothingness, 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 nothingness. And that's what I did. And every aspect of life that I selected was instantly and brutally dissected. I saw the horrible emptiness within and the reasons behind everything. And it was at that moment that I went insane. Because I realized some very deep, meaningful things that my teenage mind was not prepared to realize, really. But it was my own fault, really, I must say, in retrospect. Because I was always trying to take these things very seriously while my friends were all just, you know, smoking pot and taking acid just to have fun. Those fools, those shallow fools. No, I was into this for deep psychological exploration. I really wanted to find out deep philosophical meanings, so I would, like, you know, sit and try to think about deep, serious stuff. But I think that was actually, in retrospect, a terrible idea, because as it turned out, on this occasion, I did discover the meaning of life. Finally discovered the meaning of life after all of my teenage ponderings. But it was actually pretty bad. It was like crummy. It was like, damn, I wish I hadn't discovered that. It was so bad and so crummy that I realized I would basically have an impossible time living the rest of my life as a fully fledged human being. I've like ruined my own consciousness by discovering this horrible meaning of life. And then I also realized I was going to have to keep this secret to myself for the rest of my life, otherwise I would destroy everybody else's consciousness as mine had been destroyed. It was a terrible burden to have to keep this secret all through my teen years, all through my 20s. But I've done a good job protecting the human race from the terrible burden of the realizations that I had that night. But I can't keep it in any longer, ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you. I'm sorry that I have to destroy your consciousnesses. But I think at least if we can keep it confined to this room, if we can at least not tell anybody else, at least the burden will be off me. I won't be the only person who has to keep this deep, dark, horrible secret of the meaning of life. I'll be sharing it with all of you. and all of us can at least have this burden together, but we can't tell anybody else, otherwise it'll get out and all human consciousness will be destroyed. So basically, what I realized on that night, my final teenage acid exploration, was that everything is meaningless. And everything's meaningless because everything is subjective. Even the things that I thought were objective, when I really looked at it, I realized they were subjective too. And basically that just meant that everything that I thought was true was not true because somebody else could think something different was true. And everybody thinks something different is true. And what's true to them is true. But none of these things, none of these beliefs, objective beliefs, according to the person who believes them, none of those beliefs are actually true because somebody else thinks something else is true. So nothing is true because everything is true. Because each thing is true to each person, except something different is true to somebody else. However, once you realize that truth, as I realized it that night, I realized that the truth that everybody thinks something different is true is just what I think is true. Sorry to have destroyed your consciousness. So that was the last time I did acid. That was the time I went insane. And the final realization that I had on that evening was that people like me just shouldn't do acid, so that was the last time. So far. But the night is young.